What's up guys, Jakob with TonalChemist Audio here. The reason why your song is quiet on Spotify and Apple Music is because you aren't properly measuring your LUFS before you export the song in your DAW. So what does that mean? Basically means that the loudness that it hits your speakers isn't loud enough. So you can crank your speakers all you want, but if the correct loudness level isn't used, then the way it translates onto streaming platforms, it'll turn out quiet. So this is how you fix it. This is my mastering chain. So this comes at the mastering stage of your song. So at the end of my mastering chain, I have a limiter. I use FabFilter Pro L2. Basically what we're going to be wanting to do is we're wanting to increase the gain before it starts clipping out. And the whole goal is to make it as loud as humanly possible before it starts clipping. So if we listen right now, that is obviously too quiet. But if I was to crank the volume on my audio interface, it would become loud, and that is where a lot of the problem comes from. Because again, you can crank your audio interface volume up and it sounds loud in your room, but then when you export it and then put it on Spotify and Apple Music, it is just quiet. So this is what we do. I'm just going to play this and I'm going to increase the gain on FabFilter. So you can see or hear now that it is louder, obviously. So what we want to do next is learn about LUFS. So LUFS is the actual measurement of how loud it is coming out of your speakers, regardless of how loud you turn the knob on your audio interface. Okay, so for this, I use Ulean Loudness Meter 2. It's a free loudness meter plugin, so you can see how loud it's actually going to translate before you export it. So there's a bunch of weird stuff going on here, but really what you got to look out for is your momentary max LUFS. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to get it to around -5 to -6 LUFS. Even louder if we can, but what I've found is if you go any louder than -5, that's kind of like the max, especially in metal. If you're doing like a singer or songwriter or a softer song, you could probably crank it a little bit more, but at that point, that type of loudness level doesn't even match the type of genre. So if you're trying to master a song in that genre, I don't know what to tell you, because all I do is heavy music, right? So I'm going to analyze the LUFS now that I have cranked up the gain on FabFilter. So this is what we're working with now. So we're hanging around -11 LUFS. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly increase the gain until we hit around 5. -5. Okay, so I went up around like, I think it was like 2 or 3 dB. So now we're going to go back and check. We're sitting at around -8 LUFS. So I'm going to increase it a little bit more. Once you get past like -10 LUFS, that's when the gain knob right here actually begins to be a little bit touchy. So once I'm past -10, I'm going to go up by like 0.5 dB at a time. Now we're sitting at around -7, so I'm going to increase it by around another dB. still sitting at -6. So I'm just going to get it up to around 22. And for the original master of this song, for this artist I was working on it for, I did have it on negative or on plus 22. So I already knew that I was going to be plus 22 dB. But for your mix, when you're mastering it, this gain isn't going to be copy and paste because you have different gain staging levels than what I do. So for you, it might be something completely different. But in this case, for this mix, plus 22 dB on the limiter is working well for me. So what I do once I find that sweet spot, I'm going to go through, I'm going to play through the whole song and make sure that there's no obvious like clipping or obvious like huge amounts of sub bass or anything, because once you start limiting, the sub bass actually starts growing bigger, and from my experience. So you want to make sure that you go through the whole song and listen to it once you have found that around -5, -6 LUFS, and make sure that it is actually all sounding good. So for example, like I'll go around and skip through a few parts of the song so you can get an idea of how the LUFS fluctuate depending on what part of the song you're on. Now you can see that I'm hitting around -4. I would say the safe spot is -5 and -6, but if you can, like I said, push it even louder without it clipping out, definitely do that, especially if you're trying to make your mix really loud. The less amount of number on your LUFS, the louder it's going to be, but make sure you just aren't going to clip it. You can hear right there, I hit a little bit of a bass drop, and you can see that the LUFS went down a lot. So those are the key areas that you want to look for, is especially like if you have a huge sub drop. Okay. So once you're done with that, all you got to do is file, render, and then export, and you're all good to go. So once you put it on Spotify and Apple Music, it'll actually sound loud compared to all the other songs that are in the playlist next to your song. If you found this video useful, go ahead and hit that like button. That helps me a lot to show this to more people that are making music. And also hit the subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Also, I have mixing and mastering services, so if you're interested in that, go down in the description below and you can talk with me about that. Also, I have completely free stuff as well, like DAW templates and mix training, so go ahead and go claim that down below as well. See ya.